Welcome back, my friends. In this first video I want to share with you 8 markers that identify traditional management culture and how they affect the adoption of agility inside teams and entire organization. So these markers, those are patterns that I repeatedly find out on my way working with Agile teams. So I'm Daniel Shailan, I come from Argentina. I work with Agile teams since more than 15 years. I'm also a software developer and ICF coach. And today, what I want to explore shortly are those markers that clearly identified the old traditional culture in management, especially in big organizations. So for those who don't have so much time, I will make a list and then I will go deep and explore more deeply each topic. So the 8 markers are focus in velocity, focus in customer centricity, focus in resource utilization, individual performance metrics, lead by planning and controlling, standardized career paths, disconnection from the real market, and focus on proactivity. I know that many of these looks like standard things, normal things that you can find any place, anywhere. But this is a key point, because each one of these markers are representing and hiding a behind the scenes belief system and systemic situation. For one side, the main issue in adopting agility is that many people think that agility is about velocity, it's about going faster. And this is not necessarily the case. So if we focus exclusively in velocity, we may lose the focus on value creation. Not only on working on moving faster, but also we can lose the concept of value. And this is one of the core elements in agility. We focus much more in value than velocity, productivity, or throughput, or whatever. And even we can go with a great velocity, but in the wrong direction, then it's a complete waste. And the concept of waste that comes from Kanban is quite interesting, because the focus change from efficiency to optimization, and this is total different paradigm shift. So why customer centricity is a problem? So these are all buzzwords that many times are used and abused everywhere, because they looks like they have their own sense, but they don't. Customer centricity is not innovation at all. So in my opinion, the ancient Roman Empire was customer centric. So there is no innovation in customer centricity. The main point is to understand that agility is about value, not customers. And I know that the first principle in the Agile Manifest says that the main priority is to satisfy customers. This is the first principle. But if you read it completely, it says through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. And the key word is value. And valuable software, not customers. Of course, customers are the end purpose of every organization or project, but the point is the focus on the value creation. Then it doesn't matter how fast you do it or any other metrics. What is really important is what value is the organization creating, the flow of value. So then we need to move from customer centricity to value centricity. And looks similar, but it's not the same. So because value is not in the customer and it's not in the product. The value is in the relation between the customer and the product. It's the customer and product as a unity. In that unity between customer and product is where we can find the value, the concept of value. Resource utilization is a typical management term. Calling your employees like resources, it has a lot of culture that has to do with a relation, a top-down relation, traditional with employment, that is totally against collaboration and self-organization. And then this is the key point with agility. In agility, we should not care about resource utilization or space utilization or people utilization. To keep people busy and occupied is not the focus. The focus is to keep things flow. The focus is the flow, is not the efficiency or the performance. Or better say, the performance is focused more in a total different way. It's not the traditional concept of performance. It's a new concept of performance in a systemic way. When we talk about individual performance metrics, it's a fallacy. It's a fallacy because performance is not something individual. Performance is a systemic phenomenon. So if you ask a fish to fly, it will not perform. If you ask a bird to swim, it will not perform. So each individual will perform when it's in the proper niche. And when the unity between individual and niche is functional, is systemic, is harmonic, this is when performance happens. So performance don't belongs to individual, belongs to the system, if it's considered that way. So to measure individual performance makes absolutely no sense. It's a waste of time. Because if we need to improve performance, we need to focus on the systemic perspective. Then we need to understand the individual and the context. This unity between individual and niche is the key element to understand the performance. But for that, and this is a key point, you need to make a complete switch of paradigm. Because you need to move from a management administrative paradigm to a cohesive flow paradigm, flow of value. And the switch is a huge switch. It's not so easy to make in only one step. So the lead by planning, and many times I see Agile teams dedicating a lot of time for planning, and sometimes they have the plan for the plan, and they have a pre-planning meeting, and then there comes the planning meeting and the planning confirmation meeting. And when we focus so much into planning, the main problem is that we are losing the space for empiricism. Because if you are trying to create perfect plans, then you are focusing in something that you know and you can predict. You are not walking the unpredictable world. You are walking what you can control and predict. So you are walking into a very small world. There are very few things that you can control and predict. But if you open to flexible planning, then your world gets expanded, because now you can explore and walk into things that you cannot control and you cannot predict. So then you cannot plan. And this point is important, because then is when we can have empiricism. Then the traditional management focus a lot into planning and later control that the plan is perfectly executed. So, and this dynamic between planning and controlling is what certainly defines the traditional management. So it's okay, it's a discipline, but it has strong limits, because it cannot walk into the unknown world or the unpredictable world. It can only walk in the space where you can plan, predict and control. It's a very small world. If we want to expand our business possibilities, and we want to really go beyond and open more opportunities for the organization to increase market value and to survive and to grow, then we need to move out from the planning paradigm. Then the plan lost its priority. The plan became a tool, it became a support strategy, but it's not the main goal of the process, it's not the plan. This is a huge difference. Well, the next point is related to individual performance metrics, the standardized career paths. Sometimes an organization has thousands of employees and they want all of them to follow the same career path or to have the same options. And if we adopt a system like Montessori, we can understand that each person is totally different and individual. And then each person can have totally different type of motivation. Not everyone will be motivated by the same career path. Then to implement standardized career paths among an entire organization is a complete waste. It's totally inefficient and really many times frustrating and creating underperforming situations. When we focus on planning, when we focus on velocity, when we focus on customer centricity, we may have a disconnection to the market. And this is the most dangerous situation, because when an organization is disconnected from the market is when it became at risk of dying and disappearing. So every time we think in agility, we need to think in survival. We need to think in adaptability. We need to think in evolution. This is the main concept behind agility. It's not management. So Agile is not a management tool. But how we get disconnected from the market? When we lose feedback. When we lose feedback capability from the real market, from the real customers, from the daily basis in the customers. And this many times happens when the development team is far away from the market. the development team is working in some submarine or bunker writing code, and the customers are far away, being addressed by some customer office or customer team that they dedicate to communicate to the customers, and then create a lot of chain of interpretation until what they think they discover became requirements for the development. So this loop cycle is so long, it creates a lot of waste. And this is extremely dangerous for an organization. The easiest way to connect to the market is to use the Scrum model, where the product owner with the development team gets in direct contact with customers and users, and they can have direct interaction with real customers and real users, and that way you can have a short cycle loop of feedback and to know each other, to really find out opportunities and improvements. And the last element is the proactivity. This is one of the most useless one. When people focus on proactivity, they totally lost the focus on value. So it's mostly that proactivity, I think that comes from industrial era, where people were in production lines and the workers were not thinkers, were just doers, realizing activities among the entire product line, and the faster they move, the most they produce. And then this drives to a linear mentality. Linear mentality that has to do with the more I do, the more I get. And this linear mentality, it was only compatible with 19th century production lines or first of 20th century, but nothing to do with knowledge society, knowledge workers, complexity, software, internet, with all the new world. Complexity has nothing to do. Everything in a complex world is not a line, it's not linear, it's a curve, it's like a Gauss curve. So there is a level where you can find your performance, but if you go farther, you start to underperform. So then the focus on proactivity is really ineffective. One example that comes to my mind, okay, as Argentina, of course, is Messi. And in the last World Cup, a lot of managers complained or criticized Messi because he was walking in the game. He walks a lot of time. He's not running. And recently I saw a game analyze with that. They find out that the games that Messi was walking most were the games that most performed, not only him but also the team. So the less that he was running, the best performance for him and for the team was achieved. That's why movement does not means progress. Movement is not progress. You can jump in the place, you can run, you can endless talk. It doesn't mean that you're creating value or doing something meaningful. So, okay, these were the 8 markers. I think I'm over time. So, let me know what you think about this, and if you have some questions, how to work on them, how to hack the culture, please share the comments. With this video I want to open this new channel as a way of communication, and that's why I'm interested in your comments and questions, and also disagreements. Everything is welcome, as always. Those who know me knows that I love disagreements. So, and these 8 markers are pretty easy to use to identify traditional culture, and then we can work on how we can work on these markers to facilitate the transformation to an agile culture or agility culture. And the main key point behind all of those is the systemic perspective. From moving from thinking on individuals like pieces in a machine, I start to see the entire system like an ecosystem. And the main key point in agility is the ability to learn and to adapt to market changes, to crises, to situations. So to be able to learn fast, adapt and change. This is the key point that follows behind agility. And that's why the planning-driven strategy, the hierarchical top-bottom style of conduction is not effective. It's not effective because on the same pace of level, what you need is a strong self-organized teams that can make decisions and that can learn from the real experience. So this is the base. I hope you enjoyed. Any comment, please let me know, and any question will be in new video. Let's start to share. Sharing is caring. I come from the open source world. I believe in sharing knowledge, and that's what I do all the time. So feel free to contact me and let me know if you want to know more details on this or maybe other topics. So happy flow and enjoy the change. Embrace change. Goodbye.